Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Christine Dixon of The Ordinary Sacred, and this video is going to be on identifying cultural burdens around medicine. And I actually recorded this video in its completion. At the very end, something happened and I couldn't publish it. So I'm going to do it again. So the last several videos, we've been talking about identifying cultural burdens in different areas. So we did family, we did education, religion, and today we're going to do medicine. And this is the last one before the workshop I'm going to lead next week, which it will be on Friday, August 9th, 2024, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central Time. And so if you're watching this before that and you'd like to attend, I'll put the link to sign up in the description below. If you happen to be watching this after that, you can go to my website, theordinarysacred.com, and I'll eventually put up a link for the replay of it. But during that time, we're going to talk a lot about how we take on cultural burdens, how we identify them, because they're really tricky, because it's like the air we breathe. How we come back to our senses, to our authenticity, to our own inner wisdom and inner authority out of kind of our social conditioning, how we wake up from it. And then we're going to talk about, from an internal family systems perspective, how we can release cultural burdens. And we're going to release some burdens around collectively as a group, around scarcity, which is something that Derek Scott had requested. So I was going to do money today, but I think I'm going to save that for Friday because it's kind of related to scarcity. And I decided to do medicine. So if you'd like to do this exercise with me, I invite you. You might take a breath and look around you and just see if you are safe in your environment. I hope you are. If you aren't, do it yet. Whatever you need to do to have privacy, feel safe. And if you do, then we can make that YOU turn and just go inside for a little bit. In order for our bodies to relax, we need to for sure feel safe. And in order to receive from our parts and receive from our subconscious, our body needs to feel relaxed. And we can receive from our body too. So what I like to do is just feel my body in this space. I'm kind of feeling where it connects to the back of the chair, where my feet connect to the earth. The breath. I'd like to imagine gravity pulling on my shoulders and my jaw. This kind of helps me relax. Okay, and so if your body is feeling somewhat relaxed, then I invite you to imagine that you are in a white room. Call this the white room exercise. It's really about kind of emptying our mind just a bit. The nothingness is helpful. And so you can imagine that you're sitting or standing in a completely white room. So the floor is white, the four walls are white, the ceiling is white. It's bright, it's inviting, it feels safe. And you might just relax for a moment in the space of nothing. And then when you're ready, you can invite a topic. So in this case, the topic is medicine. We can have all kinds of cultural burdens, legacy burdens, personal experiences around medicine. And yours might be very different from mine, and that's okay. But just invite your parts to show you whatever they want you to know. There's no efforting, there's no thinking up the answers or trying to find memories. You can just sit and relax and receive, even if there's nothing. And for me, this often feels like images, memories, sensations, words going by, kind of like a parade in front of me. Other times it's like things come up from different parts of the room, different corners, this and this and this. And so I invite you, if you're doing this exercise with me, you might pause the video and just take as much time as you need to let your parts show you whatever they want you to know around the topic of medicine. And if you're coming back now, maybe you wrote down what you noticed as you were noticing it, or maybe you want to write it down to help you remember. But thank your parts, thank your subconscious for whatever it showed you or whatever it didn't. If it didn't show you anything, there might be parts blocking, and you can get curious about that. Extend gratitude, and then when you're ready, again, feel your feet on the ground or where your body connects to the surface you are on until you can open your eyes and adjust to the outer space. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you what came up for me when I did this around medicine. And again, it may be very different for you because you may have had different cultural messages, different family messages. There's lots of different subcultures. You might have had a lot of different experiences than me, and that's completely fine. Okay, so the first thing that came was kind of like this, like I was saying, like from different parts of the room, it's like all these different memories, little fragments of memories of the theme, I would say, was invasive procedures. So it was kind of like the dentist, the doctor, the hospital, where they were putting in needles or, putting their hands in my mouth or in different holes in my body, right? And just feeling like those were invasive. As a kid, I was very, very afraid of needles because I had a traumatic experience when I was 4. So it showed me this briefly, but there's a lot that comes with it. So I was 4 and it felt like I was woken up in the middle of the night. It was probably early morning that the sun wasn't up, and was taken to the hospital. I didn't know what was happening. They wouldn't let my mother come back. And they sat me in this chair and strapped me down, or some people were in charge of holding me down. And they stuck a bunch of needles, took blood, did immunizations, tests, and everything. It was in preparation for a tonsillectomy, but it felt incredibly traumatic for my 4-year-old self. And then the tonsillectomy itself, all of that also going under anesthesia, all the needles, there's so many needles, all those different things, being isolated from my parents was really scary for me. So it showed me that experience. And then it started showing me a television with all these different messages that I got via the television. So there were these news stories about the superbug, right? That the more we've used antibiotics, there's this superbug that gets stronger and is impervious to the antibiotics, and it's going to kill us all, kind of thing. So the fear of that. And then also kind of more recent, all the drug commercials, right? All the pharmaceutical commercials where people look all happy, but it's the fine print, and then also what they're saying usually, can cause stroke, heart attack, cancer, death, all those things. So some things on the television. Oh, it was also showing me the paperwork, the red tape, I guess, involved in medicine. And there were parts of me that absolutely hate that. It showed me like the doctor in the white coat with the stethoscope, and that they were seen as the authority. So it was like this image of this white coat, and then underneath was like a Superman S, that they were not just the authority, but the savior. I definitely, before I had medical trauma, had this view that the doctors could save me if I had any problem. They would keep me alive, kind of thing. And to not question them, to follow whatever they told me to do. Um, I also got images of just the hospital, and what stood out to me was that it was very sterile, the smell, the cleaner fluid, and the cold. It was bright lights, very uninviting. Uh, I felt anxiety kind of being there. Oh, and then it showed me these images. So after I was hospitalized, which was very traumatic for me, it showed me first this moment where it was the second time I was hospitalized. Overnight, I couldn't sleep. I genuinely thought I was dying. And right outside my window, I heard the nurses laughing. And it was like this realization that they didn't actually care about me, that they couldn't possibly care about me, right? As much as I did about myself. It's funny, later it was showing me that the nurses, though, in comparison to the doctors, were much more warm and kind, and the doctors were very cold and prescriptive. And doctors, didn't have time for me, didn't really want to hear the background of anything. And um, but in that moment it was kind of showing me like this arc, this trajectory of putting all my faith in doctors, that being broken, having that disillusionment. And then did I talk about this? It showed me all these images of doctor after doctor after doctor passing me prescriptions, prescription, prescription, prescription. That's what they did. And then a medicine cabinet full of prescription bottles and all kinds of terrible side effects. And then gradually getting off all of those and moving toward more holistic health. And so it's kind of this kind of showing uh putting all the faith in the doctors, having disillusionment, but then it led me to more holistic things like um just nutrition, getting sunlight, um trauma healing, breath work, meditation, all of these things, the mind-body connection. And so I really found my healing and my calling through this transition. So it's kind of showing me that. It also showed me, um, oh, it showed me, it had an image of walking through the grocery store and like all the labels, it said FDA approved, and kind of, again, trusting all those labels. And then afterward, not trusting those labels. That pharmaceuticals companies, government and stuff were kind of in cahoots, and that I now believe that there's the part that wants to say this, that, it's an experiment of one, right? So again, I've had all these experiences and I have discovered for myself that I have a very sensitive system to all of these medicines and the side effects, and that the natural healing and the mind-body healing is by far the most effective for me. But that doesn't mean that I would judge anyone else and what they have discovered is helpful and works for them. But it was kind of like in this pre-paradigm, it was a one size fits all, a cookie cutter type of thing. And I have a part saying right now because I've been uh, researching a lot about ulcerative colitis, because I believe I developed that from all the antibiotics. They gave me so many antibiotics for a very long time when I was in the hospital, and for the many months after that. It destroyed my gut. And so this part is saying, how when you go to the doctor, especially with something like that, an autoimmune disease, they will say, um, what's the word they use? It's funny. It's a word that basically means they don't know. Let me see. I have it written somewhere. Oh, idiopathic. Idiopathic. It means they do not know where this comes from, like what the source of this disease is. For example, ulcerative colitis or fibromyalgia or things like that. And there's no cure. So you just have to be on medication forever. So I have these parts now who are just so incredibly skeptical that it comes from uh, antibiotic use. It comes from side effects of pharmaceuticals. It comes from toxins in our foods. And it can also come from stress and bad diet and all those kinds of things. But it's like they're the culprit for the disease. So they say, oh, we don't know. We don't know where it comes from. And the only way to help it is for us to give you more medications. Um, and just learning that that's not true, that really these things are what causes it, and there is a way to heal it in a natural way. So sorry, I have a little bit of a preaching part about this that's taken over this video. Thank you. I appreciate you telling your story. So again, your experience may be very different than mine, and that's completely fine, even though I know this part is pretty passionate about it. Okay, and the last thing that I was shown was kind of watching documentaries and reading books and watching YouTube videos and finding um, you know, mind-body healing techniques, really, right? Like Qigong um and other people who have had similar experiences and feeling that camaraderie with them. So that's what I was shown. Again, this kind of exercise is so fascinating to me because I never know what's going to come up, but it's always like a pretty full picture. It's insightful. I don't have to effort at all. I don't have to think anything up. It's just always there. My parts and my subconscious know all these things, and they're like, here it is. This is your journey with medicine. These are the messages you got. This is how it was disillusioned. This is, post that messages that you're getting now. And it's really insightful. All right. So again, I'll put in the description below, I'll put the link to join the workshop on releasing cultural burdens using IFS. And if you want to share with me what came up for you in this area of medicine during this exercise, I'd be happy to hear about it in the comments below. Or if you have any questions, you're welcome to leave those as well.